What's up guys, it's Shana and today we're going to check out Emerald 9 in Cheras. Let's go! Hey guys, we are back here again in Cheras. To be very specific, it's Taman Suntex. Some call it Pekan Batu Sembilan. So for those who are not familiar, Batu Sembilan is a way that people measure stretches of Cheras because Cheras is so big, right? And we are pretty familiar with this side because we checked out an adjacent project before. We're gonna check another one, but in first glance, when you see around this area, there's mountains, there are single-story terrace houses. It's all local roads surrounding. It does not feel like Cheras at all. Until you look to the other side, you have the highways, the MRTs, and this project is smacked right in between. Anyway, let's go check out the sales gallery first. Let's just get our coordinates right. This will be the Taman Suntex station, and this project of Emerald 9 is just next to it lah. And this is adjacent to this main highway. Then we see there is a lot of cars just now. This is the Cheras-Kajang highway that connects over to Jalan Cheras. So in this way, it's pretty connected, but the problem has always been the amount of traffic. So there's this new highway called SUKE highway, the elevated one that is so massive that will further add on the convenience. And because Cheras itself is such a big location, plus it's also very mature, so you can see a lot of malls, and we also have a lot of schools within this neighborhood. Also part of the selling point will be the MRT station that is within the same line to the upcoming commercial centers. So we have TRX here, we have the Merdeka 118 there, and it's really close. This is a 10.14 acres piece of land that consists of a lot of things. You have the offices, you have the retails, you have the residential blocks, and one of the main selling points is a direct connection over to Taman Suntex MRT station. And we can see that there's a natural terrain, and the development team actually leverage on it. So this will be all retails, and it's divided into blocks. So we have several drop-offs for them, A, B, C, and those on top will be the offices. And they have previously launched Tower A, Tower B, and today we're going to check out Tower D. Okay, so Tower A and B almost 100% fully sold, and all of them will be sharing this facility deck. For mixed developments like that, a very important thing to take note will be the access, because what we don't want is the prosperity of the commercial activities somewhat becomes a hindrance for residents to go back into their unit. So from the highway in the future, there will be a direct access in to this junction, and that connects into the project directly. For residents, you can drive in, and all of them will have their very own drop-offs. So that's good, and because of the natural terrain, so you have this very comfortable drive to multiple different levels without going through a basement. Just imagine when the residential towers are upright. So some of this becomes like a little private nook around the development, shield away from the noise from the highway, from the MRTs, right? Just that there's an empty piece of land here where no one is certain what's going to come up next. So this will be the very magnificent scale of the entire facility deck. So this will be shared between 4 different towers, A, B, C, D, and there will be swimming pools, one here, one at the far end there, and you have all these, like this is a co-living zone, which is like a communal area slash co-working space, and this will be all the facilities at every individual tower. So each towers, they will have their own barbecue corners, their own private corners, and here you also have the 15 meters infinity pool. Here you have the wet playground, that's something new. Then you have the function hall, you have the karaoke room, you have the basketball court, you have the open area. Then if you prefer working out with a view, then you have a sky gym. There's just a lot of things that is going on around the project. So this will be the floor layout, and in one floor for Tower D, right, there will be 15 units per floor, served by 4 passenger lift, 1 service lift. And they kind of emphasize something which I find very cool. There's a separate lobby here that's meant for service and renovations. This will be the refuse room. The cleaners can use this lift using a separate access to collect them and dispose them without going through the main corridors. Because if you notice that there's no void within the floor plate itself. Instead, they push out the void in this manner, so this will be the source of openings for all the units. And that somewhat creates this very uniform, very straightforward corridor. Pretty cool. The unit that we're going to check out today will be Type C, 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, 1052 square feet. And when we look into the floor plate, it's rather direct. This will be the foyer going in, and there will be a dining, living. Then we have bedroom 2, bedroom 3, and the principal bedroom. Then there will be a common bathroom here, which is also sharing an access with bedroom 2. Okay, so you have a yard at the side with an aircon latch. So going to the unit, there will be a foyer space here that is 1.5 meters. Very nice. And going into the unit itself. In from the main door, immediately you will have the kitchen, the dining, the living, all together. And without this partition, right, this is going to be way more connected, way more open. And the immediate distance from wall to wall for your dining area is around 4.8 meters. And this is very, very comfortable. You can put in a 6-seater round table, and next to that will be your kitchen space already. And this added treatment is used, I guess, to address the wet cooking preference that we have lah. So imagine if you were to fry something or you do some heavy cooking here, the whole unit will smell like it, right? So this partition here allows the space to be enclosed, but the scale here is very nice. You can have a 2-sided linear form kitchen where this can somewhat be like an island, then this can be your hood and hob, your basin, but the unit will be bare when you actually get it. So these are all for reference. As always check with the sales staff on the specifications on furnishings that will be provided. So from edge to edge here is 2.2 meters, which is very, very comfortable. At the edge, this will be the yard space, and this will be the facade treatments of the original unit as well. Here will be your aircon latch. Via such spacious open layout, this kind of communication can be established between those in the dining and those in the kitchen. And this is really nice. Going into the living space, this unit will not have a balcony. And the width of the living space is around 3.5 meters. Ceiling height is around 2.9. And the selling price for this freehold property is around 630 per square feet, where in a 1000 square feet setting, it's going to be around 630,000 depending on which floor height that you choose. And because there's no balcony, there's no need to provide circulation space, so 3.5 for this width is very, very spacious. But in terms of orientation, please be mindful that there's one side that's facing an empty piece of land, which we don't know what's going to happen now. Moving on, this will be the corridor of 1.2 meters. This is very nice. And there will be one bedroom here. And the width of the room is around 2.8 by 3.7. Again, a queen size bed here seems rather small. You can perfectly fit in bedside tables with a wardrobe, even a desk if you squeeze a little bit. Then they are providing laminated timbers, skirtings, and this huge window panel. Nice. Coming out next, this will be the common bathroom that the visitors will be using. And there will be another access here going into bedroom 2. So there will be full height wall tiles, shower screen, shower. All these decorative items are not included, and they have not finalized the brand for the sanitary wares. And I like that they are using a ramp here, so that's very gentle to the shower area. But just that, how I wish that it can be applied into all level changes in the unit itself. And here is where we need to somewhat also think about, do we actually need a private access in from the room to the shared bathroom? Because that actually takes up space. And the toilet will need to cater for the space of 2 door swings. So, if this is a wall, I can have better space planning. Yeah. Then for door frames, they are using this shadow gap as the joint between the wall and the door frame. So that's going to be a little bit more tidy in terms of construction. And at the end, this will be the principal bed. The size of the bedroom is amazing. It's 3.6 by 3.4 meters. Wow, that's why the king size bed looks so small here. You can perfectly put in the dressing table, your wardrobe, but you don't have a space for a walk-in wardrobe lah. And the daylight quality is very nice because of the size of the opening. And this is something that they actually changed. So for the earlier phases, the partition wall between the bathroom and the bedroom is actually just tinted glass. Wow. But for block D itself, it's going to be a brick wall, which I agree as well. And then this will be the principal bathroom. You will have your basin here, WC, full height wall tile shower, and a huge window here. And I think that's all for the show unit. You can really feel that heavy emphasis on lifestyle components. You have the retail, you have the offices, you have the crazy amount of facilities. And now let's head on to the site. So we are now right opposite the project, so you can see those are block A and B. And right opposite, you have this commercial area that's pretty old already. I think you can see that it's here for some time. And one of the main issues to point out now will be the existing road system that's still heavily reliant on traffic lights because there are just so many junctions. That will usually cause some level of congestion for the local roads before even going out to the highways. And here you will have the grocers such as Econ Safe, you will have tuition centers, you will have electrical shops, you will have tire shops. So these are the more community-based retail area. Just in case if the retail below your residence is not enough, the one adjacent is not enough, you still have this stuff. And now we are right in front of the site and we can see several things here. One, the main upgrade of the road, because just now we mentioned that the current road might have too many traffic lights for now. That is an attempt to solve the very first problem of this going out, turning left. Okay? Next will be the pedestrian bridge or link to the MRT station. Next to that, then you will have the MRT. Okay. Then right opposite the side, you will have two existing high-rises here. And that's a very peculiar part of this entire location. So you can see all are single story, all are landed, all very low density. But suddenly when you reach Taman Suntex station, right, these few pieces of land, the density suddenly are jacked up to a level where you can have a lot of high-rise. So that makes sense also because it justifies why the MRT station is there. But that's also very useful for research because now we can directly have the rental rates of a 2-bedroom, of a 3-bedroom. And this is done in a different way where phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. But for this, all are almost done in one go, sharing all the facilities. So you get the facilities that is a little bit more massive in terms of scale. Imagine that this is all going to be retails, all going to be offices. And if you are staying here, generally you don't have to drive out anymore as all your needs will be satisfied within this development. If not, you have the adjacent project to help, or you can just take the MRT, go to Leisure Mall, go to Cheras. It's just very convenient. And I think that's all for this episode. It's now time for Sean's Take 3 on 3. So the first thing I like would be the location itself, the connectivity portion in terms of road, in terms of MRT station. So if you're driving to KL, you're driving to PJ, you are connected to MRT2, Jalan Cheras, Cheras-Kajang Highway, the brand new SUKE Highway. And you see someone have that shortcut of using some local roads of this area. Then in terms of MRT, you have the Taman Suntex station that is connected to the building. So that qualifies this as a TOD along with the other components lah. So that enables you to travel around with car easily, with train easily. Even pedestrian, you are quite friendly because once you come down from the residence, you have your own offices, you have your retail. If that's not enough, you can go to UCity for their retail mall. If that's not enough, you want something local, you can go for the conventional shop offices, which is within walking distance. You have a wet market as well. So generally, it's just very connected. On top of that, Cheras has always been this popular location that is just full with population. There are just so many people and it's evident looking at the congestion on the roads all the time. Then the second thing I like would be the design approach of integrating all components within this 10 acres piece of land. Actually, when we have residential towers,
they are done separately, each of them having their very own facilities. So for this is done in one entity, so that somewhat provide an extra level of convenience if you're a resident here. So by not using the car, I can already access to many things. Let's say there'll be swimming school, grocers, food court, barbers, bookstores, F&B outlets for gatherings and cafes for friends and families. Technically, I don't have to drive out, and if this is too boring already, I can always take the train to Leisure Mall or Eco Cheras or whatsoever. Also to highlight, there's another level of complication for the design team when they are doing all this integration between components. There's just a lot of effort going on, and it's really complicated. And last of all would be the confidence because of their track records and reputation. For this developer, they are also a bank. They also have their own cement, they also have their own building materials, and they are also a developer. So that pretty much guarantees the deliverables of the project itself. And at this junction, this project has the leverage of existing projects. So if you look at Tower A and B being sold out, the opposite project being sold out as well, those are existing data and results for the demand of the area. You also can cross-check with the existing projects right opposite on the rental return and the selling price and etc. So all this data really enables you to make a very informed decision. So for the three things I don't like, number one will be the empty land adjacent to the site. So we have this piece of land that is next to the project. I think it's around 5 to 6 acres. So it gives me the uncertainty of what's going to happen there. Is it going to be another high-rise, or is it going to be another mixed development? Because everything here are all mixed development so far. So when you pick your units, when you pick your orientation, do take note. And the second thing I don't like will be the ownership portion of the offices and retail, because they haven't launched yet. So I'm not too sure how the developer is going to control the commercial portion of things. Are they going to hold most of them to get in anchor tenants, activate them first before handing over to the residents, or they're going to sell everything out? We are not too sure about it yet, because those commercial components are at the front of the project, and that somewhat dictates the success of the entire development. Imagine if all the offices are just having banners for sale, right? That wouldn't look too good. But if all offices are occupied, all retail lots are full with nice F&Bs and all, so suddenly this project will be a great success. So everything kind of depends on the success of the commercial. And last of all will be the density of the project, where you have easily another 1,000 plus to 2,000 units into this area itself. And the problem with that is the infrastructure might not be able to take it in terms of roads, drainage and etc. But from the side now, we can see a lot of upgrading works are being done, including the new elevated road, the widening of road, the connection from the highway itself turning in, an elevated walkway connecting the project to the Suntex MRT station. It's also because of that high contrast in town planning. One side you have all the single story landed houses, but another perspective to that is also we need to look in terms of a radius. So if we only look into these few towers, yes, it's very high density, but if we just pull out the scope a little bit, right, the surroundings are all landed. Even the shop offices are very low density. Because in a mixed development project like this, right, when we have commercial components, it's very important that we have the sufficient population to sustain them as well. The footfall needs to be sufficient in order to bring in business so the vendors can survive. So the more people here, it will benefit the commercial lots. When business is good, more businesses coming in, and that will add on more convenience to the residents. So that should be the relationship. And do I like it so far? Yes. But that's from an investment perspective, because based on the existing results of the different blocks of the different projects adjacent to it, the demand is strong. And for the rental data here, it allows me to make an informed decision. So the debate here will then be, with this same price, right, you get a single story landed here, or would you just buy a space in air that has all the convenience, right? And I think that's all for this episode. If you really like this episode, like it, share it, and even subscribe for more information like this. Until next time, this is Sean Tan. Ciao.